Hello, guerreras and guerreros. This is Alex
and Laura.
And on today's episode, we're going to talk about International Women's Day, March 8th. So with that being said, let's get this show on the road. All right. So guys, before we start this episode, I just want to say that today was very unplanned, but it all worked out in our favor. And I keep mentioning the lucky girl syndrome and how it has helped us, manifest and only start looking more into positive things happening to us and then attracting more positive things. And I'm just going to give you a little rundown of what today consisted of. So my sister was not feeling so well in the morning.
Nope. Stomach pains. Okay, I need to tell them why. Hot Cheetos. So they don't sell the same hot Cheetos that they sell here in the U.S. and Japan. They sell hot Cheetos that are very sweet. So I have been downing these hot Cheetos because I'm like, oh my God, people here are so lucky. They can buy these hot Cheetos in the store. So I'm going to buy a bag every day and eat it. But it finally caught up to me. So this morning I was feeling super sick from my
So if you don't know, my sister is here visiting. She came for 2 weeks visiting us from Japan. So that's why she's saying they don't have them over there. Mm-hmm. And now she's indulging because
I feel like gluttony. I overdid it, guys.
She's a hot Cheeto girl for 5 days.
I'm a hot Cheeto mess. That's what I am. I've been in hot Cheeto mode for too long.
Yes, so she woke up with stomach pains, and again, we don't recommend it to eat them as much as she went all out.
Yeah, you went too much.
So she had other plans, set up for the day, but so I said, okay, well, stay behind. I'll give you some nausea medicine. I gave her some medicine, and it could also be the traveling. So we're not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure the hot Cheetos do have something to do with it somehow. Yeah. And I told her, just get some rest and tell me how you feel. Well, 30 minutes later, the medicine kicked in and she's like, I feel so much better. She goes, I already canceled all my plans, so I have the free day. What do you want to do? And I'm like, let's do our podcast. We were going to, of course, favor spending time with family as opposed to doing our podcast, which is why, again, we didn't plan for it. But because she had to cancel because of her stomach pains, we said, okay, let's do it. Yep. So I started calling all these places. Shout out to the Blow Bar in Flower Mound. Oh, they did an amazing job. Raphael with my makeup. And then we had Alejandra do my hair. She did a full blowout. And then I told her to add some waves. So shout out to them. Again, the Blow Bar in Flower Mound.
Yes. I was so lucky at that time. Again, my sister before this, she was sitting in the car and she said, everything's going to work out today. We're lucky today. That's what she said. And she says positive affirmations all the time. So I'm not shocked, but I am a little bit intrigued because this positive affirmation was a little bit different.
Yes, I told her just every morning when you wake up, just say, I'm lucky and good things happen to me. And again, shout out to TikTok because honestly, I didn't make this up. I learned it from them. And so shout out to all my girlies that are all about wellness and spirituality and all of that.
Positive affirmation.
Yes, I loved it. So then we said, okay, well, I kept telling her that. I said, it's going to work out. Let's just see what if we can find, appointments for Hello Studios. Right now we're in Hello Studios in Dallas, downtown Dallas.
See, it worked out.
And I shout out to the owner. He was actually able to get us in, we late notice, but he was able to make it work for us. And just the best customer service. I truly, if you have a podcast and you're in the Dallas area, I highly recommend Hello Studios as well. Amazing customer service. Like I said, just phenomenal people. And we send him a message and rapidly he would respond. And I was just so thankful and grateful because we don't get these moments very often because my sister, I'm not going to see her for another 6 months. Yeah, so this is actually very huge for us. Yeah. This moment that we're sharing together today. I'm going to cry.
Oh my God, do not cry because then I will start crying.
No. And so what else happened? So we did that. We got our hair done. We got our makeup done. Oh, we said, okay, let's do a photo shoot because we want to make sure that we provide some content for you guys, on our Instagram at Driven Latinas. If you haven't followed us, go ahead and follow.
And TikTok too.
Oh, yes. And TikTok, too, at Driven Latinas as well. So, again, we made it happen. We did a few photo shoots, headshots, and with our business attire. So, again, we had a full-blown day of just sister time, getting our makeup done, photo shoot, and then now we're recording our podcast.
Out. people canceled on people. Like, we were there. I had to fill in
Yeah,
the
so
spots.
like she wasn't going to do her hair and the lady literally
wasn't.
tells her,
Yeah.
we just had a cancellation in front of
Yeah.
you. Would you like me to do your hair? And she's like, of course.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was it was me time. I feel like, this is so cool. And I told her too, I was like, my sister just was talking about something about lucky. And I was like, and it worked out because she gave this like positive affirmation. And I feel like I'm so lucky because a cancellation happened and now I'm able to do my hair.
Exactly. You just start noticing all the positive
Yeah.
things and then you just attract even more.
Yeah.
And so anyway, back to tie this into our day, to tie our day back into International Women's Day, I feel like you do have to take time for yourself. You do have to, you know, feel do whatever makes you feel empowered and, you know, just
beautiful and powerful and comfortable.
Yes. And so like on the way over here to Hello Studios, we were listening to Unstoppable by Sia. And we were just singing to like, you know, at the top of our lungs because it's true. Like we should have these moments, take time for ourselves to take care of ourselves and do things that make us happy. So whatever it is that you do, reading a book or, you know, going for a massage, whatever it is that you like to do, take that time to do it because no one else is going to come and pick you up and do it for you. Like it has to be you doing it for yourself.
Yeah, and you are a better person to others because of it.
Exactly.
Like to other people.
That is true. It's like when you're with your husband, right?
Yeah,
like I'm not talking about her husband, but I'm just saying in general, like, you know?
Yeah, you have like more patience. You're more grateful and appreciative, like for the life that you have.
Yes, which shout out to my husband right now because it all worked out too because he had a late meeting as well. And he said, oh, by the way, I'm not going to go. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome because now, you know, I don't have to worry about childcare while I go record my podcast because
everything worked out too perfectly.
So. Yes. So now we're here and so take time for yourself, do what makes you happy. And of course, you know, feel empowered. Do whatever it takes for you to feel empowered. Take that initiative to go take care of yourself. Like it could be as simple as getting your nails done. I know that I'm my sister's not very like high maintenance, but I know I am. But again, just I know she loves like reading books and doing things like that.
It's everybody's different, so it's like whatever you find peace and whatever you find can rejuvenate you is what you should do.
Yes, and that's what we did today. And now we're here sharing about, you know, International Women's Day, March 8th, and how it came about. So I kind of did a little bit of research before we came. And from what I got from it is that it all started when women were fighting, you know, for their right to vote. So it all kind of, you know, struck from there. And so just women just fighting for their rights and, you know.
Yeah, the women movement.
Yes, the women's movement. And so today we just kind of want to talk about one specific female that has been popping up on my algorithm. I don't know what TikTok is doing, but on TikTok, I'm sorry, she's called Kat Voltage, and I know her name is different. I was trying to pronounce it, but I know it was a little bit difficult for me to say it, so I'm just going to call her Kat. It's Echazarreta. I hope I said it right. If I didn't, I'm so sorry. I will, hopefully we can get you on the podcast and you can pronounce it for us. But anyway, she was born in Mexico, and at the age of 8, she moved, her family moved over from Mexico to the U.S. So one of the biggest barriers and adversities that she fought was learning English because that was just very difficult for her. I mean, age 8, that's like my daughter's 7. So that she would be 8 next year, the following year, and that would be so hard for her. I feel like put yourself in her shoes. Like you're 8, you kind of like
you've already like, you know, they say the window of opportunity is from like 3 to 5, I think. So you would have already missed that opportunity to be a little sponge.
Yes, and just as a teacher, and I know like my newcomer students that I've worked with, it's very hard for them to get acclimated when they're a little bit older because they're more self-conscious. Like they actually care what other kids think as opposed to when they're in kindergarten when everybody's learning at the same rate. So that's one of the things that I learned from her when I was doing a little bit of research on her is that learning the English language was very hard. But again, she fought against that and, you know, tried her best to do well in school and all of that. So another thing that I read was that her mom, which it tied back to me. That's why her story, because I read several stories of, I wanted to talk about a Latina that, you know, has made history. But her mom was also a big rock for her and continues to be. Like, if you follow her on TikTok, you see on her TikTok videos where she posts her mom, like, for example, I know I'm moving forward, but she came up with her own they created her own Barbie with her little astronaut suit. And so she showed it to her mom, and her mom was crying. It was so emotional for me because I could see us, you know, showcasing something like that to our mom, and our mom being just so proud, like, from where we came from to where we are now. Like, she would be so proud, right? So anyway, her mom is a huge rock and a huge influence for her, and continues to be, according to her TikTok, according to my research. But I was definitely, she's definitely growing up, was very into STEM, which I have my kids in STEM school right now, and they really, really enjoy it. They have, it's the space, math, astronomy, and physics. And so she had a big interest in that. And she went to college in San Diego City College to study electrical engineering despite various setbacks. So again, going back to not giving up, dusting yourself off and trying again. So she had that perseverance, which I hope that this inspires girls to find a mentor. I feel like that was one of the big things that she talked about in her bio is like she doesn't have, since she's a first generation college student, she didn't have, you know, that generational wealth. And when I mean that wealth, I don't mean money wise. I mean like having those connections and networking opportunities that others have. Yeah. So I'm just going to pause right there because I think we mentioned it in our previous one, but it is good to find a mentor. Just get out there. Like even right now at work, I have a mentor. Do you have a mentor right now?
I have 5 mentors, like different mentors for different purposes.
For example?
I call them my board of directors. So I have one person who, she is my career development planning expert. She works in succession planning. She's a manager. So she helps me specifically with like any career development advice that I have for my plan because I have a career development plan. And she's the one that gave me advice on it. I have another mentor who helps me with like day-to-day like challenges or activities. So that's another mentor. Then I have one who she's a very, very high executive. So she's kind of like my inspirational mentor, like who I wish to be and like how did she go into her career. And then I have another mentor who is a really great presenter. So I'm always taking like presentation tips and like branding, like personal branding is so important. So I have him as well. And then I have my last mentor. She is more like, she was in HR also. So she's kind of like I want to call her maybe not a mentor, but my connector. Like she's the one that connects me to other different people that she knows because she has a very big network. So I don't call them mentors. I call them my board of directors because it's like so many different people that actually support me when it comes to a career standpoint.
I love it. No, and I agree 100%. Like, I know I've been mentioning to you guys that I am in the pursuit of becoming an assistant principal. Like, I've already worked hard and passed my exams to become a principal. But this summer, that's one of my goals is to pay out of my own pocket. I don't care if it's like in a different city, but I want to go to a seminar where they train you and they give you different tips and things that you could try at your school. Because, again, you have to take initiative for your own learning. And I feel like a lot of when we're growing up, like nobody ever told us that. Like, when were we going to think that, like, hey, you can actually attend these things? Like, all you have to do is pay and sign up and you can attend. Right. But we had no one, you know, our family, like none of the adults in our family spoke English. So
yeah, I think
it was really hard for us to be informed.
One thing we haven't mentioned is like how to get a mentor. I think a lot of people may be curious about that because I know I've gotten that question a lot. Once people know like who my mentors are, they're like, but how did you meet her? And how did you meet him? And like, how do you like know this person? Like a lot of people have asked me that question. So first of all, knowing what you want to do, like even if it's the next 5 years, will be very helpful. Because if you really put thought, and that's a very hard question too. Like some people really get stuck on that. Like, well, how do I know? Like, what do I want to do in the next 5 years? Well, really think about it strategically. Like what you're doing now, is it really going to help you where you want to be in 5 years? And if possible, which is going to sound crazy to some people, but if possible, have a career development plan, like a plan that you wish. It's like a wish, right? That you want to have until you retire. That's what I have. I have a career development plan all the way until I retire. So what happens is when you have an idea of what you want to do till the end, it doesn't have to be all the way to retirement. It could be like 5 years. Then you show people that you trust, like your managers or supervisors, that plan. And then people will say, oh, okay, based on where you want to go, this is a great person that you should be in contact with. So then what I do is I've set like informational sessions with them, like just to kind of getting to know. And it's kind of like, it's weird to say, but it's kind of like dating. During that first session, you get to see, like, do you have chemistry with a person? Do you have similar interests? Is it a good match for a mentoring relationship? And you can tell right away, because if the meeting is like forced and you both feel it, not a good match. But if it's like super easy, like you ask them like, oh, can I meet you again? And maybe like, you know, after a couple of times, you can officially say, and some people don't like to formally say, I like to formally say, can you be my mentor? I will literally ask people that, like, formally, because I feel like if I don't, some people say, oh, that's not like the way to do it. That's worked for me, because then it establishes a relationship. If they say yes, or if they say no, then I don't waste their time anymore. But if they say yes, then I set up reoccurring meetings with them.
I love that. And again, this is all about, you know, women empowerment, this episode. So we're going to keep going back and forth, because we want to make sure that we share our knowledge and our experience. And I'm sure if we hopefully get Kat onto our podcast, I'm sure she'll share a lot of more tips and tricks on,
absolutely,
you know,
of what's worked for her.
Yes,
maybe
exactly.
Different career path, like has a different approach. So it would be so nice to also hear from her, like, what is her take on mentoring? Like, how does she go about taking mentors?
And I really like how you said that, to ask them directly, like, hey, if the answer is no, you're not going to waste your time, and you're not going to waste their time, you know? You're going to get either a yes or no.
And that's the thing. Like, you have to be okay with if it's a no. Don't feel bad. Like,
and I always say this to my sister. I always say, remember, if we don't ask, the answer will always be no.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we've talked about it in some other episodes where we're like, we thought everybody was getting no's and like being okay with it. But a lot of people don't ask because they don't want to be told no. And we are very comfortable with being told no, which is, you know, one of the reasons why we've come as far as we have come based on our past.
Oh, yeah. That's very, very true. So back to Kat. So she did do something similar to you, Laura. She interned at NASA. So my sister, she always had her eye on the prize. Like, she knew what she wanted for her future. And do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, whenever I did a career fair in school, like, I knew exactly the companies. There was only 2 companies that I wanted to go to and that I wanted to intern in. Like, an intern is like, you go and you work, but you're still in college, and then you come back and then you graduate. So I knew exactly the 2 companies. I had done a lot of research, and I went, and I was like, they're super early so that they're fresh. The recruiters are fresh. And I gave them my resume, and I was like, I would really love to work for your company because A, B, and C. And then they asked me questions, and I was like so ready because I had studied my resume and like my skills that were transferable. And I was like, it's like an interview. Like, even though it's just a first impression, like, it's kind of like an interview. So I was ready to like sell myself in an educational way and like tell them everything about me. And so I did that. And then I ended up getting hired, and I ended up being an intern with a company that I'm still with now. So that's 10 years. I've been with this company for 10 years already. And it was an internship, and it's a corporate 500 Fortune 500 company. So it's a really great company. And it still has given me even the opportunity in Japan, such great opportunities that I have no desire in leaving this company. And I'm willing to be with this company until I retire, because it's been giving me the career development opportunities that I seek.
I love it. And same thing with her. Like, she started off, she graduated from UCLA, you know, with an electrical engineer degree. And then she interned for NASA. And then she got her full-time job there. So she she got an engineering position and worked on 5 NASA missions, including Perseverance and Europa Clipper, which currently makes her the first Mexican-born woman to go to space.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so she says that she feels, you know, very honored, and she says, I have received an honorary doctorate for my humanitarian contributions to society as well as my contributions to technology. So on June 4th, 2022, I became the first Mexican-born woman in space after being selected by Space for Humanity for a mission to analyze the overview effects. Whoa. So I feel like that sounds so important. But again, like I just wanted to share it because I could connect it a lot with our own experiences, like in our upbringing, like that we had no one to guide us. But again, the sky is the limit. And like, think about being that little girl. Yeah, no, seriously. That is going to be the name of the episode.
The sky is the limit.
The sky is the limit. But it's very true. Like, think about, and I'm just thinking of this, like Kat being a little girl and thinking like, you know, one day I'm going to go to space. And then like it truly happens. So Laura always says like, believe in yourself, you know, like dream big. And that's one of her big things. If you go back to our very first episodes that we started shooting, she talked about how she wanted to go to Japan, and she said, I'm going to put it on my vision board. Oh, yes. I know it sounds so crazy, and I know that probably, you know, people are going to think I'm crazy and that like that'll never happen, but I know that if I work hard and I will make this happen.
And I let people know, again, going back to mentors or sponsors or board of directors, whatever we want to call it, like it's so important that you also tell other people so they can help you, because you're not going to do it by yourself. You need other people's help. So you need to like put the energy out there, positivity, and then let, you know, the universe and the people that can help you like figure out the way. And that's what happened with my Japan trip. And that's so exciting for her. She's literally been to space, and she has a Barbie.
Yeah, and she created her own Barbie.
Astronomy Barbie, which we know representation is so important. So being able to see a Latina Barbie is like so special. Like now I can buy that for Lily.
Exactly. And it says like even throughout her whole engineering journey, like going to school, she noticed the lack of females in the field. Mm-hmm. And so she's like a staple because she is, you know, paving the way for other women, especially Latina women or any, you know, women of color to, you know,
take on that
challenge.
Path.
And exactly.
Like it's the path has been created. Now others can follow the path. That's what I always think about, even my career. Like I am actually the only Latina in all of my like in my company right now in Japan, the only one. So that is super huge and super important to me, because I feel like I am the first, but I'm not the last. Like other people are going to come once they see this.
And if you have been following my sister long enough, like you'll see how many speeches she has done, you know, and it's not really motivational speeches. It's really her experience and like how she wants to help especially other young girls and other Latinas to continue and pave the path. Like when I was in college, she did a speech even with her company to us. We hadn't graduated yet. So she, Kat does the same thing. She wants to be that voice and that guidance for other girls. And she talks about it. She didn't have that growing up.
Yeah, I think it's so important. Like once you start, you know, like being successful, for you to share your experiences with others, especially like in my case, it was like other Latinas. I shared it with them. It was called a Hispanic Engineering, Science, and Technology Fair. That was 1 week old. It was our old university that held it. And they had a special day just for Latinas and 7th graders and their moms. So they would come, and my company would ask me, like, at first, to be honest, when they asked me, I was an intern, and I was like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. I'm going to tell everybody I was a migrant. I was like, not
really. Yes. I was never.
I actually the first time, because I was not comfortable public speaking yet.
Oh, I see.
So my first time, I was like super awkward. I was like, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna say it super fast, and I'm gonna walk away, like, you know, like. But
by the way, my mom and I were sitting in the crowd because I remember that day so clearly. Yeah. You guys were giving out little backpacks with shirts and stuff.
Yes, and I did so good. I did actually. This is gonna shock you. It shocked me. I don't know if it's going to shock everybody, but I was like not having eye contact, because I was like, I'm just going to get over my part. And like, I literally was talking about being a migrant and like getting education and how that's so important. And then I looked up, because I didn't have such good eye contact, you know, the first time I was presenting. And like, literally I had little girls looking at me, and they hadn't been looking at other presenters. They didn't have interest in the other presenters. They were looking at me, and I saw moms crying. Like, it still makes me like tear up to talk about now, but
Yes.
I saw moms like wiping their tears, and I was like what? Like my story
is impactful and powerful.
And like I need to do more of this. So then that was the very first speech that I did. Then after that, I started like a tour kind of just speeches, and I have been keynote speeches for graduations. I've been invited for so many different like public speaking, and it was because I realized that talking about our background is impactful, and it's motivating, and it helps other people like see that there's a way. And even some parents, which is going to sound crazy maybe to some of you, but some parents may think, oh, just, go and work right away so you can earn money. Like, don't go to college. It's like, it's going to take so long to graduate. But even like to change parents, some parents' mind, like they'll come up to me and they'll say, I'm so thankful I listened to you because I just want my kid to start making quick money. But then hearing your story, I understand the investment
exactly
it is to get an education.
I love it. Yes.
So, anyways, that reminds
so
me
yes,
of that.
and that's leaving with a bang, because that's exactly what Kat mentions, is like she wants to build that bridge for other young little girls and other, the youth in general to just reach for the stars, literally, right? And
literally.
dream big. And of course, like Laura said, invest in your education, because, it does pay off. And again, we're big advocates for that, and because of our life experiences.
Of course, of our own experiences. Like we've known what it has taken for us to be financially okay and stable now. And it was education.
But yes, well, I am going to wrap it up with giving a huge shout out to Kat. Again, follow her on TikTok. Her name is Kat Voltage, and she has TikTok and Instagram. And I hope that one day we'll dream big too, right? And reach for the stars.
We can have
her
here in our podcast.
On our podcast. So that would be exciting. So shout out to Kat. And again, remember, somos hermanas.
And together we are
Driven Latinas.